Hello world, it is Monday, April 5th. Hard to believe it's April 5th already. Kind of overcast right now. It was nicer earlier today. I went out running this morning and it was a little clear, but it's starting to cloud up. I think there's a chance of rain today, maybe. April showers bring May flowers, right? The devotion is entitled Stranger Danger, written by Vince Amlin. And Vince bases the devotion upon the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 22, verses 37 through 39, New Revised Standard Version. Jesus said to the lawyer, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself." And Vince writes, "One lazy Saturday, still in my PJs at lunchtime, I started the wrong sentence. For a couple weeks in February, the soundtrack of our lives was the squeal of tires spinning helplessly in the snow outside of our house. One lazy Saturday, still in my PJs at lunchtime, it started again. I took my normal post behind the curtains, peering out to see how bad things were. Not bad, I thought. By the time I put on my hat, gloves, boots, and coat, the car would be out. No point. But several attempts later, the driver was still stuck. So, of course, I waited a little longer. Finally, reluctantly, I began to bundle up. My daughter ran to me screaming, "No, Daddy, you can't go out there. That's a stranger." I'd been anticipating this since one of her teachers introduced the idea. I had kicked myself for not addressing it sooner, for letting the first word on the subject be fear and mistrust. "No, honey, that's a neighbor." Trudging into the snow, I thought about what to say when I went back in. How to help her parse the distinction. Excuse me. How to help her parse the distinction. How to balance caution and kindness. When to run away and when to run toward. I don't want her to be unsafe, and I don't want her to be unloving. But I didn't have the words. How do I teach a child the great commandment in a world like this? Then I realized. Probably starts by putting my boots on a little faster. And the prayer. Lover of neighbors, welcomer of strangers, teach me. Amen. There's a lot of things that ran through my mind reading this devotion. One is we seem to be living in such a fear-based culture, fear of the other, fear of especially the others who may not look like us or act like us or speak like us, have the same accent as us. And we separate ourselves because of that fear. Rather than working out of a source of love, we seem to continually operate out of a source of fear. And how do we change that? I guess one action at a time. And the other thing I thought about with this devotion is, for me, that passage is the defining passage in the scriptures. Especially, I think it's the version from Luke in which Jesus says, all of the Gospels, or all the law and the prophets hang upon these two. In other words, that's how you interpret the entirety of the Bible, through understanding, loving God above all else, and loving your neighbor as yourself. Really changes the lens through which you view all the scriptures. But I think I also like his point too, that sometimes we hesitate to help, thinking, well, somebody will get through it themselves, or it's not my problem, or whatever reason. And really, the way we demonstrate most the golden rule, the greatest commandment, loving God above all else and loving our neighbor as ourselves, is to make the decision to do something as soon as you can. A lot more to think about in that devotion. Maybe listen to this again. Maybe look up that scripture yourself and read it a couple times. Matthew 22:37 through 39, and the parts around it as well. And see what you think, and see if it changes your mind. See if it helps you to become less fearful and more loving. Talk to you again tomorrow. Hope you have a good day.